ago.
Yeah.
She's called Lindsay Myers. She's absolutely lovely. Look, she's diamond. She really is. She owns A Different Human Design. She's the founder of that. She is also a poet. She's also an author. And she, by the looks of her Instagram account, she's just a party animal.
Just an animal in general.
Right now. Hi, Lindsay. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I am very well. I am very well.
Excellent.
I love seeing your like Instagram pics of like when you're out, big bright outfits.
Oh yeah.
The festivals.
You've got to be seen. Well, the great thing is I just see Instagram as kind of any opportunity to, I love photos. I love getting myself out there dressing up, and then the business ties in nicely. So, it all rolls into one.
Why not? Now, the main reason why you're on now is we're going to talk about ADHD Awareness, which is kicking off next month in October. But first off, give us, if anyone's listening, they didn't listen to last time you were on, give us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about A Different Human Design and how it came about.
So I'm a teacher and mentor across Leicestershire, working with students with additional needs, things that get in the way of their traditional learning in the classroom. And I came up with the A Different Human Design platform to change the perspective towards these labels that are used. So labels such as ADHD, dyslexia, autism, dyspraxia. At the moment, they're very negative and they're quite limiting. So the point of A Different Human Design is a place to come along if you think that maybe you're affected by a label like that, or if you've been given the diagnosis, or even if, you just want to explore. So the idea is that there's information on there that you can go through and relate to or not relate to, and, from there kind of work out who you are as a person.
What I loved about it when I first came across it is that it's so user-friendly, family-friendly, user-friendly.
Yeah.
It's happy. Like you said there, it's not negative. There's no negativity involved in it. It's light, it's bright, it's engaging. You've got lovely pictures and details on there as well. And it is really there for any age.
Yeah.
And for parents that could be, wondering about the children, it could give them an insight and help them as well, couldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the thing for me, particularly when I first started doing it, I was thinking about what would I really like to see if, because I'm mid-30s, I'm still struggling with being given these certain labels. Am I this label? Is that my identity? Is this the reason for my success? Is it the reason for my failures? So that confusion has happened in my own life. And I thought it'd be brilliant to create a space that we can turn to as adults that's still exciting and still as vibrant as the kind of kids' TV shows that we loved as youngsters and comic books. So it was kind of aimed at the adults, at the parents, at those that might have missed out on that information whilst they were in schools and colleges. But like you point out, it's just so friendly and kind of welcoming for any age group that, I don't really want to limit who it's aimed for. If it's helpful, then go for it.
Yeah, the information's there for everyone. Now, we know that if you've got ADHD, you're more likely to experience mental health problems. There's evidence out there that suggests anxiety, depression,
bipolar disorder and suicide. Yeah,
they're all more common with people that have ADHD. Just put it down on paper in black and white for me, Lindsay. What is ADHD?
Well, it's still in a lot of debate, because some people see and treat ADHD as kind of it's a problem from the start. So there is evidence to suggest that there can be other factors like a traumatic birth, or if there was drugs or alcohol used during pregnancy, E numbers and excess sugar in toddler. There's all sorts of suggestions as to what causes ADHD. Now, in my experience, I've come across kind of trauma patients before who have had an accident and now display ADHD-like traits. So it certainly is something that can be kind of, the wiring in your brain could perhaps change, and then these traits could become more noticeable. But how I see it is that you're born a certain way. You're wired to experience the world in a certain way. And if you are ADHD, then you might not process time the same way other people do. So time runs away with you, or time slows right down. You don't process the way that your senses kind of come in. So visually, I don't really like bright lights. I don't like loud noises. But coming from one of the loudest people that people know, and it's these contradictions that, oh, you know, that's too loud, but I am shouting at you while I'm saying that. So for me, being ADHD is a completely different experience to the neurotypical counterpart. But like I say, there's still a lot more research going on. There's a lot of upset about kind of calling it a superpower, because it certainly does have its traumatic kind of times. There's times when, like you say, your mental health's poor, your brain just will not shut up because the voices are kind of, you know, really, really hyperactive that day, and you're just thinking, just give me a break. But the different human design is all about capturing all of it. Just like anybody and everything, there's good and there's bad, there's negatives and there's positives. So it is just kind of making it more mainstream that people are born, just how somebody might be born on the spectrum, the autism spectrum, somebody might be born on the ADHD spectrum, and none of these are right or wrong. You know, being born whichever way is not a right or wrong, but how we kind of treat people. They go into school and it's almost like a one size fits all, and that's where these labels then come out, you see, because if you're typical and you learn in the ways that it's set up, then you're going to get on all right. If you like to fidget and you like, you know, you're a bit more curious, or your brain's kind of wandering away with you, then that's going to be highlighted, and then it becomes a problem.
I think it was a friend of mine whose son has ADHD, and that one of the ways that they sort of helped figure out that that's what was happening was he couldn't sit down to do his work.
Bless him.
So what she ended up saying was, she said, just stand up.
Yeah, stand up and do it.
And do your work standing up then.
Yeah.
And done the work, gave it to the teacher.
Yeah, it's fine.
Was amazed.
Yeah.
How did you get this? And she said, just took the chair.
And it's the smallest of adaptations, and yet is now able to, like, you know, to produce a little bit of work. Yeah. The thing. Go on. Both too polite. The thing with the schools, unfortunately, is we still have this battle almost for the sake of having a battle. So a lot of my students that I support outside of school go to mainstream, you know, they're getting on all right. They're not needing like a kind of special placement, or not even needing that much support in the classroom. But one girl in particular, she taps a pen or she chews on a pen and, you know, she's fiddling. But then that's what she gets told off for. So then she spends the whole of the lesson concentrating on staying still, and then in the meantime doesn't listen to the rest of it. So, and doodling, I was a doodler at school, but I was always being told, stop doodling. The minute I stop doodling, I'm not paying attention to what you're saying anymore. So it is kind of changing that traditional view that eye contact doesn't mean somebody's listening.
I agree. Wasn't it a while back? Maybe, I'm trying to think if it was before the pandemic. When Fidget Spinners.
Yeah, they went wild. Yeah.
I thought they were accepted in the classroom.
And yeah, well, the trouble was with that, they were obviously a really attractive toy. So a lot of other students that perhaps
didn't need it.
Well, I was going to say didn't need it. Then I thought, you know, who am I to judge if you want to fiddle? And I think.
I can say it, Lindsay, it's my show.
You're allowed to say it. But as a teacher, when I was in my classroom, I will always say, if you're listening to me, I don't care what you're doing with your hands or your feet. You know, you could be running a marathon under the table. As I can tell if you're engaging with what I'm saying, because you kind of, I can tell by your work, I can tell by the way that you're responding to the questions. So fidget toys, I wouldn't care if you've got an ADHD diagnosis or not. If it's going to help you to fidget while you're listening, then do it. But they became very distractible in the classroom. So that was where they then had this battle of how do you differentiate who's allowed a fidget spinner and who's not. And so really it is kind of encouraging teachers to just lay those rules down in their own classrooms, that it's up to you really to kind of notice that, hold on, Jimmy, that's actually distracting you, fiddling with that toy. You're not listening to me, you know, you are just looking at the toy kind of thing. So it was great that they brought it out, because it brought it into the mainstream that some people like to fidget. On the other hand, though, as a teacher, I've tried to teach before and somebody's, you know, moving in the background like this, and it's really off-putting. So it is, you know, it is, yeah, it's hard because, you know, you're trying to concentrate yourself, and especially I do think a lot of teachers have got these ADHD traits. That's why they're drawn to this creative job, and they want to give back and things. So if they're already struggling themselves with this little sensory issue of seeing this kid going ding, 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 it's like it becomes a big battle then. But I think we've just got to be open about it, try and discuss it, try and use common knowledge, common sense kind of thing.
So let's focus on ADHD Awareness Month. All of October
Yeah.
is ADHD Awareness Month, which is brilliant. It should just be known.
Yeah.
Should be out there. You shouldn't need a month.
Yeah, it shows that we do need it, doesn't it? Yeah.
But what are you planning with a different human design and yourself to help raise awareness throughout the month?
Well, I feel really proud that this time last year when ADHD Awareness Month was approaching, their theme was to rename and reframe it. So that's where the platform's name first came from, was in October last year. So it's almost like the platform's birthday for a start, which is lovely. And this year the theme is a shared experience. So it almost feels like ADHD awareness has developed with us in this 12 months, because we've gone from rename and reframe to a shared experience. So I think that's suggesting that people are starting to realise now that it's not so black and white as that person is ADHD and that person isn't. This is just a type of person. It's just a personality type, a character type. So what we will be doing is sharing a meme a day on the platform Instagram. So that'll be 31 memes. But all of those will be kind of informative or jokey, or just to kind of keep that message going. I've written quite a few articles over the years, so I'll be resharing those and hopefully writing a brand new article. And our biggest thing that we're going to be focusing on for the month is masking, or rather demasking. So we have Halloween in October as well, which is another one of my favourite times of year. So we're going to be encouraging people to create a mask. We're doing a template at the minute, but create a mask with all the things that they show the world on one side. So I think we might divide it up so it's like family, work, love life, friendships. And you think about all the things that you show off to people. But then on the other side, what are the things that you hide? And, starting to think about, why do you hide those things? Because is it a society thing? Is it as a society needs to, develop the way we look at people? Why are people hiding certain aspects about themselves? But then the idea will be that you create this mask throughout October, and then on Halloween, do you dare which way round do you dare wear it? Do you dare brave your true self to the world? So we're that's going to be our big theme for the month, is the masking, demasking, and encouraging people to be themselves a little bit more.
That's brilliant, Lindsay. That really is. And I tell you, another idea, if you had a location, people could go and hang.
Oh, that'd be brilliant.
It'd be like an art.
That'd be lovely, yeah.
And see people's, different sides.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of places in town, don't they, that do kind of public spaces. So if anybody's listening and has a public space, this would be fantastic, yeah.
Yeah, anyone listening from the LCB or Newark or any of the areas around Leicester or Leicestershire, get in touch with us here at BBC Radio Leicester if you want to, house
spooky mask exhibition.
The mask art from a different human design. I think that would be absolutely brilliant. Lindsay, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
It is a pleasure. What's the best way for everyone to follow your journey through your socials?
So we are on Instagram, which is A Different Human Design UK. We're on Twitter and we're on Facebook. If you visit the site www.adifferenthhumandesign.co.uk, that's got all of our information on there, all of our social links, and you can sign up to the newsletter from there as well, so you can keep in touch with any new developments as we go.
Thank you so much, Lindsay.
Thank you so much.
All the best, and keep in touch, and we'll have you back on again.
Yeah.
Probably at the end of October.
Yeah, where we can get these masks. Yeah, definitely. Brilliant.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're an absolute legend. Keep an eye out for Lindsay Mayan and A Different Human Design. You're on with me, Andy P, BBC Radio Leicester. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.